What's going on, everybody? This is Knowledge Rise for another episode of the Knowledge Rise podcast, episode 8, brought to you by NERDBOXER. Thank you to everybody who has tuned in the past and continues to do so. I really appreciate the support as well as the feedback I have received from the people who have been listening. I want to send a special shout out to the people who have subscribed on YouTube as well as iTunes. I see you guys. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm doing my best to make sure the show is consistent in regards to how smooth it is, how relevant the information is, and delivering each week on time as promised. Seeing new subscribers helps me keep going. Thank you very much. Also, I want to send a shout out to Jerome from Petals of a Black Rose, not only for the great products, but for the knowledge and wisdom we share with each other on phone conversations, as well as through text messages and Instagram messages. I really do appreciate it. Helps me out a whole lot. More than you know, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you. Shout out to Racine McGee, who is the author of the book series So Frail. Mr. McGee is in fact the inspiration behind one of the subjects I'm going to touch on today. He's been instrumental in inspiring me in terms of my writing ability, and which has led to me completing my books that will be released here in the next 2 weeks. Thank you very much. I also would like to send a shout out to my dad. I think about you all the time. Your pictures are up in my office to remind me that I need to be the man that's on my job at all times. Shout out to my mom especially. I'll never be able to thank you enough for the position you put me in, as well as blessing me with the kind of father I have. Even though everyone doesn't have a father in their life, you taught me how to appreciate my father as well as being proud of having a father. The older I get, the more I understand that there is nothing to be ashamed of for having a father in your life, especially a good father in your life. Sometimes the misandry in the black community will make you feel like speaking up about having a father is a bad thing, but as I said, the more I live, the more I appreciate. And all of that is something I thank my mother for, because she made it a point for her sons to be around good men and to come from a good man. Mom, I thank you for that more than anything else. Today, we are going to continue the conversation around the question of, is dating prostitution? My man, Derek Jackson, no, I do not know him personally, but yes, Derek Jackson put up a post on his page that brought on some pretty interesting comments from his female followers. So yes, we're going to touch on that. Also, I'm going to talk about the importance of men boycotting pornography. I'm also going to speak on how adultery has led to the deaths of men and women, in particular, the woman who lost her life recently in Mississippi while having an affair with a married police officer. Last but not least, I am going to give some updates on the upcoming grand opening of the NERDBOXER Culture and Business Center that will be located in Portland, Oregon. I will also touch on the upcoming Masculine Engineering Conference that will be held in Portland, Oregon, 2019. Well, up first, we're going to listen to a track by Boonie Mayfield, and this track is called Nautical Dawn from the album Black Kool-Aid.
Even so, and I remember things. I remember the way it began. I remember the way it was in the beginning.
Once again, that track is called Nautical Dawn by Boonie Mayfield from the album Black Kool-Aid. So it's time for part 2 of our conversation. Is dating prostitution? If you missed our first conversation on the topic, here is a snippet of that conversation. Take a listen. Whatever, forget all that. The point I'm trying to make is, regardless how the woman looks, you're paying for her time, and you're basically renting her. Out of all the things we do with our money to impress them, it hasn't brought, particularly black men in the black community, it has not brought us anything. Generational wealth, peace of mind, inner peace, you name it. The things that we hold dear to ourselves as we get older, we are not getting them by way of putting thousands of dollars into the dating process. I guess the moral of the story is, if you want a woman of quality does not need your money to have your attention, or vice versa. Money is not an issue. Your character is your currency when it comes to a woman of quality. Now, the reason I chose to talk about this topic again is because there was a post on Derek Jackson's page that centered on the right of a woman to wait till marriage to have sex and a man's right to save his money. The post reads, "Is the man wrong for this? Two people are dating and the woman mentions that she is saving sex for her husband and the guy's cool with that. And then he mentions that they should also go Dutch for dates because he is saving money for his wife. The woman points out that it's not cool to not take her out on dates just because she doesn't want to have sex. He mentions that it's not the case at all, but clarifies that just like sex, finances should be reversed for marriage." Derek Jackson immediately follows this with, quote, "Personally, I think he's lying, but what do y'all think?" End quote. The comments went on to say things like this: "Yeah, he's just being petty. His name is Petty Patty and he should go date Patrick." That is a common shaming tactic by many women of today, who will call you a homosexual if you do not do the things that she feels is required to be up to her standards. But I digress. I don't think nobody's wrong, but that's not a date. Y'all friends, and that's cool too. So when you get home, block him. That's tit for tat, and men like this is why women should stay single. He's being petty and she should bounce. In the comments, and I do mean hundreds of them, they stayed on the same trajectory. Statements like she should thank him for the time and his honesty and go about her business. Obviously, they are not compatible and it is not worth the conversation. Now, as I stated in the last podcast about this subject, dating is more like prostitution than it is about two people coming together because they love each other. The women in the comments of this post clearly showed that if a man is not paying money in the beginning before he even knows he wants to marry this woman, he is either gay, petty, or some other derogatory term. As much as we hear folks complain about black men being bad with money and not putting back into community, I find it ironic that women don't complain about men paying all their money to them while not doing nothing for the community. Also, I find it funny that a man is immediately reduced to nothing when he tells a woman that he wants her to maintain her independence by paying for her own food on the date. There isn't one man on earth that hasn't taken a woman out to eat when that woman had zero intentions of ever being with him. She was on a date for the free food and as a time killer. Many of these women use these type of dates to kill time until they can meet up with the man they really want. But in regards to the conversation about prostitution, the women in these comments are clearly the type to not date a man that isn't shucking out a bunch of money. And that is exactly what prostitution is. Women on street corners as well as escorts won't entertain a man in any way that isn't paying. And even then, he does not own her and she is free to leave at any point after getting what she wants out of that man. This is why I myself refrain from dating. Since I stopped, I realized that I have always been paying for a woman's attention and not paying enough attention to who I was as a man or as a person, or paying attention to the direction that my life was taking. I'll leave out my opinions of what a quality woman is in this conversation, but I will ask you this. What good are you to a woman if you refuse to pay for her food and she doesn't see you as a man because you save your money? Where is the intelligence of paying all that money at expensive restaurants for a woman to smile and call you a man? How does it make you a man to irresponsibly spend your money on food for a person that has not proven themselves worthy of you and your hard-earned money? As men, we begin to ask ourselves these questions. We begin to see that a lot of the decisions we have made for the women in the past have been foolish. Our inability to control our sexual urges has caused us to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on women, hoping to score a night, week, month, or however long of sex. But I will, in this conversation, ask one final question. If men took all the money they have spent on dates and on women they never married and put it into themselves, how much further would men be? Think about that for a minute, because out of all the money we have spent on taking women out on dates, we are not happy collectively. We are not married, our families are not stronger, and most of all, we haven't earned women's respect for the most part. So what exactly are we doing besides putting ourselves into debt or poverty? If you're dating in 2019, you're patronizing a prostitution ring. Just saying. Our next topic is boycotting pornography. This subject came because there was a post that the author Racine McGee made on his Instagram account that reads as follows. Pornographic sex creates an illusionary reality of what sex really is. The perceived pleasure is in fact pain when you hear the interviews of the porn stars. They were acting for the scenes and much of it is uncomfortable. This makes the viewers perceive the sex as a pleasurable thing, when in fact it desensitizes the body to the experience, reducing it to masturbation with a physical body in the least. End quote. I'll throw myself under the bus and admit that yes, I have watched a lot of pornography in my life, and not to get too graphic, but Mr. McGee is on point. It desensitized me to the feelings of the woman. I automatically assumed everything that went on in those scenes is how it was supposed to be done. Even though I never looked at myself or who I was sleeping with as human beings make a real connection, I knew everything there was to know about sex because of pornography, so I thought. It wasn't until I stopped watching pornography, as well as stopped watching Instagram models shake their hips and rear ends, that I started to notice and see that I suffered from an addiction to women who perform sexual favors in that manner. I began to see that my dating habits were changing because I no longer pursued women that appeared to resemble what I saw in pornographic material. Men need to understand that even though it is your right to watch pornography, it doesn't mean it's right for you. It does not help your mind, body, or soul in the long run. In fact, you will look back on your life and notice all the hours you spent sitting and watching other people do things that they pretended to be happy about, and realize you have been wasting your life like a sexual deviant. I don't intend to demonize people that watch pornography, but I also will not ever again speak as if it is cool. I still see an occasional image pop up on social media, and the habits that I used to have kind of come back into the brain. However, it is no longer the same. I will say that the less men watch pornography, the more they respect themselves as well as the women around them. You stop seeing women as pieces of meat and sexual beings and start treating them like human beings. And it's almost a second nature. In fact, it is our nature to treat women like human beings, but pornography doesn't exactly teach that message. And if you spend too much time consuming those images will become who you are. When we stop watching pornography, we start sending a message to women that they are more than just what we see in those images. At some point, a man is going to reach a level of consciousness that makes casual sex or wild sex scenes in pornography uninteresting. But if that is all your dating life has been about, what exactly do you think you will be when you turn 50 years old? I'll leave you with one last thought. When you heard of Hugh Hefner's passing, how many men that you truly respect spoke of him highly or said they wish they lived their life as he? Get the pornography out of your phones and out of your life. Your future self will thank you for it. As we get into this next track by Boonie Mayfield called Tinted Windows, I want you guys to sit back and think about how much life would be different for you if you didn't bother with pornography, how much better off you'd be, the type of women you'd surround yourself with, and the kind of people you would stay away from. I want you to think about how great life would be if women weren't subjected to those type of activities or made to think that that type of woman is exactly what a man needs in his life. Think about it. right, everybody. Now it's time to give you an update on the NERDBOXER Culture and Business Center. This is an idea that I put together after many years of research, studying, and thinking and planning. The overall goal of the center is to be a networking hub for small business owners and entrepreneurs, as well as consumers who love to purchase small business products and support the small businesses in their communities and around the country. We hope and aim to give people in the Northwest region access to products that they would not typically see in major stores. The center itself will have a coffee shop, shipping and receiving services, as well as mailboxes. Order fulfillment for small businesses who may need an extra hand and getting their orders out on time will also be offered. It will also have a small convenience store whose shelves will cater to small business owners. I'm currently putting together a plan to get funding for the major part of this project. As we get closer to the fall, I will have more concrete information in terms of location, grand opening dates, etc. Until then, I'd like to ask everyone to give me a hand and help me find quality small businesses who produce quality products. Bath and body, hygiene, seasoning, spices, and herbs from all over the country, as well as the world. We're also looking for quality coffee roasters, pet product makers, and healthy alternatives to a meat-based diet. It should be known that the NERDBOXER Cultural and Business Center will not sell meat or dairy products. It's not so much about being vegan, it's more about keeping the cost down. Have meat and dairy products on the premises, there is much more of an effort that needs to be made into preserving the meat and doing it safely so it does not make people sick. That's not a part of our business model, and we honestly are not all that interested in carrying those things. So yes, the NERDBOXER Cultural and Business Center will be opening in the fall of 2019. Please reach out to anyone and everyone you know and ask them about the best products made by small businesses in your town. We will keep you updated on all relevant information as it becomes available. Last but not least, I wanted to touch on the Masculine Engineering Conference that will be held in October of 2019 in Portland, Oregon. As stated before, Jay Norman of Thoughts Men Aren't Supposed to Think is slated to be the host. I'm also in conversations with men and women who are part of the Fathers' Rights movement, as well as people involved with the legal side of helping men and women deal with custody issue and family court. I'm interested in hearing suggestions from people in terms of what should be held at the conference and the types of breakout sessions everybody would like to experience. I am open to all suggestions and ideas. If you have a suggestion or an idea, please reach out to us on Facebook or Instagram at The Real NERDBOXER, or you can email us hr@nerdboxer.com. That is hr@nerdboxer.com. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, that has been episode 8. I'm glad all of you are here. I'm glad all of you take the time out to listen to me whenever it is you do. I do hope this is what's going out of your speakers as you're cruising down the road or stuck in traffic. I hope these are the type of podcasts you inspire the younger males in your families to listen to. As promised, we do not use profanity here, and even though we did touch on the subject of pornography today, we made sure it was clean enough for anyone to be able to listen to, but most importantly, highlight an issue that men sometimes are a little embarrassed to talk about in regards to dealing with it. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your support. As always, thank you, Antrell Roberts, for the vocals you put into the intro in the beginning. Thank you, Chillhop Music, for establishing yourself as a very peaceful, enjoyable environment that I can always go to no matter how happy or sad I may be feeling. And in conclusion, I would like to send a shout out to my youngest daughter, Jayana. I love her very much. Her and I have the same birthday, and she came at a time that I thought my life was just about over. I thought things were done. I was dealing with all kinds of family court issues. However, this beautiful child came along, strong voice and a big smile, and I refuse to quit. So yes, Chayana, if you do ever listen to this, I love you very much. I do love my other 2 children also. I have a total of 3. However, I will just be honest that Jayana came at a time that I really needed someone to give me an inspiration, and she continues to be an inspiration, as does my other 2. But baby girl, I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for teaching daddy what patience is. Thank you for helping me understand how important my job is. And most of all, thank you for just being you. I know you're very young and this probably wouldn't make sense to you at this point, but as you get older, and if you listen to this again, I just wanted to give you a shout out and let you know that daddy loves you very much. To the rest of the fathers out there, I know it's a hard job, and sometimes the hardest part of being a father is dealing with the foolishness outside of your children. I would never advocate for anyone to abandon their children. However, to all the fathers out there, if being a father in terms of being there for your children is costing you inner peace or testing your sanity, I ask you to stop and reevaluate the situation. An insane man does not provide any value to a child, and an insane thought process is toxic for children. It teaches children the wrong way to be. Manhood and fatherhood is not dictated by female opinion. Your actions is what matter. Thank you all, everybody. This is Knowledge Rise for the Knowledge Rise podcast, episode 8, presented by NERDBOXER. Peace.